Today we have again something that I'm a little bit scared of. Hey, what's up guys, Rado here with Jay again, and this is a 480, what is it?
It's only 478.
478 Honda, and I have only one question for Jay. Jay, why?
Well, this bike was blown up and just in total shambles. Everything was shot, and I got it for next to free from a friend of mine. I did some trading out, and I got the bike, and we need to rebuild the engine. So we got the whole hot rods bottom end kit, rebuilt this thing, and then we're at it. I'm like, well, we have a big bore kit, so why don't we just put this Cylinder Works big bore kit, because it needed a cylinder anyway. And so the cost isn't that much more, so I'm like, let's just do it. And
okay,
so
how much what is the power gain here with the big bore?
Oh, it's got to be five horsepower with the cam and big bore, at least 5 horsepower just on that. Now that's over uncorked one already, so because this thing's, who knows, this thing's,
So it was a little slow stock, huh?
So, oh yeah, when they're all corked up, yes, they are. But everybody, we have videos showing how to open up the airbox, cut the pink wire, do the carburetor. We have our buddy Brad at Parapros do the carburetor, and they just work amazing. Once you do all that, even when I'm stock, they're plenty good. But then we add the big bore just for kicks and giggles. And since, I got a friend, Johnny Campbell with Honda Racing, he's got some leftover radiators that I was able to get that are oversized. And then I had ICW go through them and getting them all dialed in, and hooked up a fan from Trail Tech so that it really will keep this thing cool. So I think it's going to be okay on the tight trails. It's still going to probably get a little hot, so we'll see. We're looking forward to trying it out.
What year is this?
This is an 05, which these bikes were the same from 05 to like 17.
And you do like these bikes a lot, right?
Yes.
What's the reason there?
Well, these bikes were the kind of the standard, and a lot of guys ride these in Baja still because they're so reliable and they can last a long time, and they are really comfortable feeling, riding, especially out here in the desert. They can do really well. Maybe in the tight stuff not so well, but they do really well most everywhere else.
I never ridden one of these 450X bikes. Is it 5 gear or 6 gear?
I never get into top gear, so I don't know.
We'll find out.
So we have to count some gears. I assume it's 5. I assume it's 5, but maybe it's got 6. We'll try and count.
It's a Y ratio, right? It's a wide ratio compared to R.
I don't even know that. I think it's the same.
Is it?
I don't even know. We'll get some people comment, and they'll tell us.
Okay, so if you guys know the answer, comment below. All right, my friends. Well, as I said in the beginning, I'm a little bit scared to ride this thing. These days I'm on 250s and I feel really good there. This is 478, the big bore. What do you call it?
Clifford, the big red dog. That's what we named it. It was this cartoon that Rado's not familiar with, but it was a cartoon. A little girl had a dog, and she loved it so much it got big. And that's what happened to this thing. We loved it so much and made it so good. There's a couple parts I do want to mention that are kind of hidden parts. Anti-gravity batteries. This thing needed a lot to crank over, so we got the really heavy-duty battery in here. It has a jump start feature, so we got that battery in here. I can't see the kickstand because we got it on the bike stand, but we got a Pro Moto billet kickstand. Really like that. And then when we went through it, we put a lot of the components that I usually use with UFO Plastic Decal Works, IMS Big Tank, so that Clifford is going to want to eat, and when we're on these big rides.
What do you think the range would be here? 100 miles, maybe?
I will have to find out, but let's see how far you can go today on it.
All right.
And see if you can get to like 80, 90 miles and see when you run out.
Sounds good. And then you got a nice seat for Moto seat, just top everything off. And the bike looks amazing. I really love the looks. It has a stock light, so it kind of looks a little bit older, but all upgraded. So I can't wait to jump on it and share with you guys the feedback. So
my next step is I'm going to try to make it street legal. Maybe another state, not in our state here. But I already got the little CRFs only. It makes this mount that's just fits in here awesome to hold the license plate. So I'm going to work on that next step and put a dual sport kit from Tusk on here, and then work on getting it street legal. My next step. And
then it might be for sale.
Maybe, yeah. So maybe hit me up, but I don't know. I'm always changing my mind on that. Yeah. I never know.
Okay, so if you are guys interested, you have to act quickly. All right, well, let's ride it.
I wonder if he'll make it up.
this thing can pull. Gonna take it easy a little bit. This is my introduction to the bike, so we don't want to get too crazy, right? Man, I like that carburetor feel of 4-stroke. It's a nice and wild, a little more raw. I like that. It is a lot of bike. It's not a light bike, but it doesn't feel too bulky. It has a big tank and all that stuff, but still feel pretty nimble. I mean, I wouldn't be scared to take it to some tighter stuff, like where I need to clutch it a little more. Suspension is really good. Splash, and bike feels firm. Like, that's the feeling I have, is that it's very planted. And on any 450, you have that planted feel. And this is just the endless riding. You can get lost here for the entire day. So you can count on this 478 engine to pull you up everything. If you can keep up, then definitely bike can keep up with everything you throw on it. This thing is eating the hills. Alright guys, so what do we think about Clifford? Spencer, you go first.
Well, it's a big red dog, but in a good way. It's very fun, very fast. You know, it has a lot off the bottom, and you know, with the amazing suspension that is on this thing, being over 15 years old, it still is able to do all the things that a brand new bike can do.
Sounds good. All right, my turn. Actually, I was surprised that this thing felt pretty nimble, and the power wasn't too intimidating for me. I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little bit better at riding, or it's just a really good bike, and it suits me pretty well. You know, those hills, this will eat anything you throw at it, so that was a really good point there. And also, when I was in first, second gear in a slow technical, not too much rocky, kind of a little bit slow technical here up in the desert, it felt really good, nimble. I can imagine having fun on this thing for an entire day. Probably not in the really steep technical rocky trails, but stuff you saw today on the video, I think I can be riding it all day and feel really good on it. Jay?
Yeah, where I really felt it was the whoops. You know, you got these whoops, and that's what is full of, like down in Baja and all the desert stuff. There's whoops. The thing just stays straight. It tracks straight. And it feels so good, and the suspension, like Spencer was saying, is amazing for how old you think. But this stuff is still good today.
Right.
You know, and Racetech did an amazing job on this stuff. But This stuff is so good stock, you know, this, and there's no A kit, cone valve, KYB conversion. This is 15-year-old suspension that's been redone by Racetech, and the stuff feels as good as a brand new bike.
Right.
You know, it feels so good. Like, it's close to on par with any other bikes that we test, I think, you know, suspension-wise. So that's what I felt. I do, you know, we still mess with carburetor, and so I still am a fan of fuel injection on 4-strokes. You know, I still like carburetors on 2-strokes. So this really gets really confusing. Hard to explain all that to my wife. She's always like, "What? Why is that?" It's so hard to explain. But fuel injection on 4-strokes is pretty dang good. We don't have to worry about pilot jetting getting clogged up and all that kind of stuff. And so I love that fuel injection feel. But this bike is kind of like the workhorse and strong, and I think this is going to be a really good bike for our long-term stuff. And with us kind of looking to convert it to dual sport riding, I think it's going to be a great bike for that.
Yeah, it's one thing I also said on the video when I was riding is that this bike really feels planted. Like it can just go straight, and these little things will not throw you off balance. So it's really this heavy feel you have on 450, which is in many cases a good thing. Like when you go a little bit faster on the desert, on the open roads, open trails, that having bike that sits you know, in the what do you call it, in a way, then it's really a good thing. So definitely there's a lot of people who would enjoy bike like this. And yeah, thanks for having me test it. It was a fun time as always with you guys. And what did we say?
It was so much blast.
It was so much blast. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. Let us know below what you think if you experience this kind of bikes. And don't forget, whatever you do, stay motivated.
Stay motivated. Stay motivated.
See you guys later.